Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for April the 8th of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest gaming news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it's your one-stop shop for all of the hottest gaming news that you need to know. And although we don't have any big discussions surrounding the DualSense, the new PlayStation 5 controller, I did want to say thank you for the support for both yesterday's episode of the podcast, as well as the bonus video that I put out on YouTube. And of course, you can click that card up in the top corner right now if you did want to go see my thoughts specifically on how the controller stacks up to the Xbox Series X controller. I had a couple of things to say, and people are agreeing with me for the most part. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's top gaming news, which starts off with the fact that Google Stadia free starting today, and a Pro subscription is free for 2 months. This is kind of the big rollout, if you will, for Google's streaming service. Google has announced that starting today and rolling out over the next 48 hours, Stadia is now free to use in all 14 countries where the game streaming service is supported, so long as users have a Gmail account. New users can sign up at Stadia's website with their Gmail account with access at the free tier, allowing players to purchase games and stream them with up to 1080p 60 FPS with stereo surround sound. Players who sign up today during this new free rollout, however, will also receive 2 free months of Stadia's Pro subscription tier level, with the option to either continue a $9.99 per month subscription or opt out afterwards. And anyone already subscribed to Stadia Pro will simply not be charged for the next 2 months of service. The Pro subscription tier allows players to claim free games for their Stadia library on a regular basis, which they will have access to so long as that subscription is held, similar to a PlayStation Plus subscription. The current list of free games Stadia Pro users can claim is Destiny 2 The Collection, Grid, Guilt, SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh, Serious Sam Collection, Spitlings, Stacks on Stacks on Stacks, and Thumper. Normally, Stadia Pro will also allow users to play games in up to 4K 60 FPS with HDR, but Google has also announced today that in light of the current coronavirus pandemic and the increased strain on internet usage, Google is developing the default screen resolution for all players to be 1080p, though this change is not yet live. Quote, to reduce load on the internet further, we are working towards a temporary feature that changes the default screen resolution from 4K to 1080p, VP and GM of Stadia Phil Harrison said in a statement alongside the announcement. With increased demand due to more people at home during this time, we are taking a responsible approach to internet traffic. The vast majority of people on a desktop or laptop won't notice a significant drop in gameplay quality, but you can choose your data usage options in the Stadia app. Google Stadia has an app available on Android and iOS devices, while Stadia games can be played on a variety of laptops, desktops through Chrome, tablets, Google Pixel phones, and some Android phones. Google has a full list of compatible mice, keyboards, and controllers to use with Stadia games, and there are currently 38 games available to purchase through Stadia to play on Google's streaming service, with more than 120 games expected to come to Stadia in 2020. The Stadia Premier Edition, which comes with a Stadia controller and 3 months of Stadia Pro, is available for $129 in the US, Canada, UK, and EU, and Stadia is available in the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, with more territories expected to be added later this year. So, of course, IGN has plenty of content if you want to check out more of their coverage, but this is interesting to me because it seems like this is the full rollout, if you will, for Google Stadia. Now, whenever people begin to go back to work and the internet usage begins to regulate and people can kind of get back to a sense of normalcy, I fully expect the quality to jump back up to 4K 60 FPS HDR. I think that's totally possible. But right now, I think capping things at 1080p 60, it's pretty understandable, although it does highlight one of the issues with cloud streaming. You aren't going to be able to have top-tier quality in a situation like this. Now, quite frankly, the situation we currently find ourselves in on a global scale isn't going to be the norm. This isn't something that happens time after time. I've never seen this before in my life, and everyone I talk to for every age has said they've never experienced anything like the coronavirus before. So this isn't going to be something that's normal, and I still have faith in cloud streaming going forward. The big question is, how many people are going to be willing to use the Google Stadia service at least the free tier and invest money in playing these games? I think that right now it's a very wise option to say, hey, come in, try our free trial of Pro, because that gives you access to games immediately. And of course, first and foremost, Destiny 2 is the one that comes to mind as the one many people are going to want to try. I think that just simply makes sense because it's something that people can compare to what they've likely experienced on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, or a PC already. But if you want to dive in, again, it's free for 2 months, so at the very least, you could chunk a couple of bucks at a game, or if you do want to get that free Pro subscription, which again, why wouldn't you? You can try these games for free. Again, Thumper, Stacks on Stacks, Spitlings, Serious Sam Collection, SteamWorld Dig 2, and Quest Hand of Gilgamesh, Guilt, Grid, and Destiny 2, the collection. Now, yesterday was a bit overshadowed on the Xbox side because we did have the reveal of the DualSense. You can check out that video in that podcast episode if you want the full rundown on PlayStation's new controller. But there was also an Inside Xbox event that showed a lot of news that is going to be kind of revealing the future of Xbox, at least over the course of the next few months. They say on the official Xbox blog, today on our first Inside Xbox episode of 2020, we got a closer look at the single-player campaign in Grounded, the upcoming survival adventure game from our friends at Obsidian, and they revealed the latest Xbox Game Pass titles, discussed the recently revealed Xbox Series X tech, and gave viewers the skinny on the most important things to know about the upcoming Gears Tactics. There was also plenty of surprise news dropped on today's show. Typhoon Studios revealed the Journey to the Savage Planet DLC, Hotline Miami Collection is getting a surprise Xbox One release, and we got our very first look at The Last Campfire, an intriguing new title from developer Hello Games. So let's go ahead and dive into the highlights, shall we? From the top. Go big or never go home in Obsidian Entertainment's Grounded. Obsidian Entertainment announced upcoming survival adventure game Grounded will enter Xbox Game Preview and, of course, be supported on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, along with Steam Early Access on July 28, 2020. As part of today's announcement, the team also revealed a brand new trailer focusing on the single-player experience for Grounded and a first-ever live stream with Obsidian Entertainment's game director, Adam Bernecki, and social media manager, Shyla Schofield, who gave a closer look at the game, and you can find more about that via the link. A closer look at the Xbox Series X technologies. A few weeks ago, we took an in-depth look at some of the tech powering the Xbox Series X and got our first look at the new Xbox wireless controller. On today's show, our own Major Nelson had a chance to sit down with Jason Ronald, Director of Product Management on the Xbox Series X, to break down some of what was shared about our most powerful console ever. They discussed everything from graphics technology like DirectX ray tracing and variable rate shading to audio processing, quick resume, and storage options. Ronald also highlighted the Xbox Velocity architecture, including what this entails and what it will enable for games. Additionally, Major Nelson was also seen holding a additional SSD, which is the new proprietary chip that is going to be coming out alongside the Xbox Series X, and I'll see if I can't pull up a video or an image of that in a moment. But the evolution of Xbox Game Bar continues. The customizable gaming overlay built into Windows 10 for PC is, of course, starting today, going to be allowing access to apps from partners like Razer, XSplit, and Intel directly on the Xbox Game Bar through new widgets. No more having to alt-tab to separate apps while gaming. We have seen incredible interest from PC gaming partners in this fan-requested feature, and we look forward to growing the number of available widgets. For more information on the Xbox Game Bar news, you can find it via this link. Announcing more great titles hitting Xbox Game Pass. This is where it gets pretty good. So they get into the nitty-gritty of it. You have games for Xbox Game Pass and then Game Pass Ultimate, but we have shared new titles joining the Xbox Game Pass libraries across console and PC, including Alvastia Chronicles, Journey to the Savage Planet, Overcooked 2, Football Manager 2020, Mistover, and Stranger Things 3 the game. Now, the standout there for me is Journey to the Savage Planet. We'll dive into that more in a moment. Then Project xCloud Preview adds more great games from EA. They're going to be adding The Sims 4, Unravel 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition, along with allowing new access to Project xCloud in 11 new countries across Western Europe. And you can head to xbox.com/Project xCloud to get in on that action. Forza Street races onto mobile on May the 5th. Of course, this is the new Forza game for mobile devices, and you can check it out on iOS and Android in just a few weeks. And of course, they'll also be giving out Founders Packs to anybody who plays Forza Street between May 5th and June 5th as a welcoming gift. Then they broke down 5 things you need to know about Gears Tactics, but first and foremost, when is it coming out? It is going to be hitting the preview program, available April 28th on Windows 10 PC and Steam with Xbox Game Pass for beta, Xbox Game Pass for PC, which is a beta, and of course, the console version is going to be coming out later in 2020. Then there is a free Sea of Thieves update, and a new batch of ID at Xbox games is going to be coming to Xbox One. Of course, that being The Last Campfire, a dark fantasy from developer Hello Games, famous for No Man's Sky, as well as the Joe Danger series. I don't know why I'm saying things backward today, but Joe Danger, of course, a big PlayStation game. But there's also a new trailer for Atomic Crops, an action-packed farming sim, and on top of that, Hotline Miami Collection is not only coming to Xbox One, but is out now, if you did want to see it. That's a lot to break down. Again, going up to the top, first and foremost, Grounded, I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I don't know why they're making a Honey Who Shrunk the Kids game, but hey, I wish you the best of luck, just not my cup of tea. Then the Xbox Series X technologies, just kind of riffing on what they revealed a couple of weeks back, nothing big here. I did want to say that Major Nelson was holding a proprietary chip that is going to be available for the Xbox Series X that essentially expands the storage of your device. And of course, here you have an image compared to a hand. Of course, he talked more about it on camera, but that's essentially the size of the SSD you can expect to be buying for the Xbox Series X when it does launch, if you do want to expand your storage. And I thought it was interesting to see him holding this chip on the screen. It's not as small as a USB drive, but it's not much bigger either. It's kind of the size of about 2, if you will. Pretty interesting, and I cannot wait to see how that shakes out. The Xbox Game Bar stuff, very cool for PC gamers. More titles hitting Game Pass. Cannot wait for Journey to the Savage Planet. This game got stellar reviews, and I think it's kind of what I wanted No Man's Sky to be. I like the fact that No Man's Sky is open. It gives you a lot of exploration, but I also like being guided, and I think this level system that Journey to the Savage Planet has is probably going to be something that I want to dive into, but with Doom Eternal out, I never got a chance to actually get into it. So this is going to be perfect for me. And of course, those are all coming soon. Then, of course, Project xCloud, very cool, competing directly with Google Stadia and in a way PlayStation Now, although more so with the power of Google Stadia. So hopefully that continues to roll out and become a more official part of the Xbox brand. Forza Street looks very cool. On top of that, Gears Tactics, can't wait to get my hands on that one when it rolls out later this year. I'm going to be waiting for the console version of the game, but I must admit, I think Gears Tactics is going to be a pretty cool little spin-off. In a way, it's going to be the Halo Wars of Gears, if you will. It's not going to be for everyone, but there's going to be a dedicated niche audience as well. Sea of Thieves, cool. There are tons of people that still play that, especially with friends. And on top of that, I love Hotline Miami. I've played them all, though. Not going to be diving back in. However, The Last Campfire, interesting little title from the team at Hello Games. So that's what was talked about in this month's, of course, Inside Xbox, and it's pretty interesting because PlayStation just so happened to reveal the DualSense, again, as we talked about on yesterday's show, that completely overshadowed any of these announcements because they're granular in comparison to the new controller. Next up, The Witcher 3 sold nearly as well in 2019 as it did in its launch year, and Cyberpunk is not in danger of another delay. In its 5th year on the market, CD Projekt Witcher 3 came within a few million sales of replicating its launch numbers. Geralt just refuses to slow down in his old age. CD Projekt's 2019 financial report shows sales of approximately 7 million copies of The Witcher 3 last year. That's in its second best year so far, as only 2015 did better when it sold approximately 9.5 million upon release. Sure, an estimated 2.5 million sales is still a sizable gulf, but it is still pretty impressive considering how high the annual figures are and how far past launch it is. Interestingly, it was not the 2019 Witcher 3 Switch port that really pushed the numbers higher. The breakdown provided by this chart, found on page 52 of the financial report, shows that the PC version did most of the heavy lifting and that Switch accounted for something like 770,000 copies. Granted, revenue surely was not anywhere near what it was in 2015. A separate bar graph states 82% of 2019's Witcher 3 sales were through digital channels. Deep discounts on GOG and Steam are almost certainly responsible for a good number of the sales, but still, CD Projekt had a fine year as overall revenue rose 44% over 2018, landing at approximately $125 million. Another notable tidbit from CD Projekt's recap and forecast concerns the big game everyone's looking forward to. Despite all of the COVID-19 disruptions and subsequent yet inevitable game delays, President and CEO Adam Krasinski insists that Cyberpunk 2077 is not in any jeopardy of missing its new September 2020 release date. Although everyone at the studio is working from home, Krasinski says our plans have not changed. We are steaming towards the September release of Cyberpunk. So a bundle of news here. Of course, the big number for me is that revenue rose 44% over 2018. I find it strange that Destructoid didn't mention the Witcher Netflix series. I think that boosted numbers in a significant way. I mean, if you think about the popularity, the virality of The Witcher, I think that it really did do wonders for CD Projekt Red, and it even went so far as to, in a way, fix the relationship between the original author of The Witcher and the team at CD Projekt. So I cannot wait to see what the next Witcher adventure is. Of course, they've said it won't be following the story of Geralt. It's going to be something else in the world of The Witcher. So I think there's a lot of lore to be explored there. But needless to say, congrats to the team, and I really hope they are correct about the fact that CD Projekt Red is going to be finishing Cyberpunk 2077 on time and that it will hit its September release date. Because, man, we need something. I have a feeling it's going to be inevitable that we see a lot of delays in the next few weeks just because there have been so many hang-ups in the production process and the development process. It's just not going smoothly, and no one is necessarily to blame for that. It's just the nature of the beast when you're dealing with this pandemic. But regardless, really happy for the team and can't wait to dive in when their next big title comes out. But to round out today's show, you can help medical science just by playing a new Borderlands minigame. Human players can help train AI to find disease-causing microbes more quickly. Players can help biomedical research by playing a new color-matching minigame introduced in Borderlands 3 this week. Borderlands Science basically tricks human players into solving complex genetic alignment problems that can be intuitive for humans but difficult for computer algorithms. The minigame is a joint effort between Borderlands maker Gearbox and scientists at McGill University, UC San Diego's Microsetta Initiative, and the massively multiplayer online science group. The first time I met with Gearbox founder Randy Pitchford and producer Aaron Thibault to discuss this crazy idea was 5 years ago at GDC. MMO's founder Attila Zanter, what a name, said in a blog post. Since then, we have been working together with the Gearbox team to realize this project. So, how does it work? The process starts with DNA sequences from some of the trillions of microbes in the human gut. Researchers want to arrange those sequences to figure out which of these microbes are genetically similar to each other. That can help indicate which genetic lines of microbes are associated with certain diseases. Finding the optimal alignment between two related genomes can be difficult, though, because evolutionary distance leads to gaps and mismatches in those DNA sequences. Are you getting this? It's very simple. When heuristic computer algorithms try to account for these issues, they tend to get stuck at suboptimal solutions. In these computer-fooling cases, a single alignment shift in any direction will only make things worse, even if a few moves to one side or another might make things much better. Enter humans, with brains that have evolved over millennia to become efficient pattern-matching machines. By converting DNA sequences into lines of colored blocks, Borderlands Science asks players to find their own optimal base pair alignments, minimizing gaps and maximizing matches according to a scoring algorithm. Gaps are worse than mismatches generally. As competitive players find new high scores in these patterns, they are also training a machine learning AI and new principles for finding optimal solutions on its own. Using gamers for medical research in this way is not an entirely new concept. McGill University's Philo, which has been free to play online since 2010, uses the same basic premise to get thousands of players to help sequence viruses. But Gearbox's Borderlands Science implementation adds a bit of game industry polish and interface refinement to the idea. It also incentivizes millions of Borderlands players to take part in the research by giving them free in-game items and rewards just for playing. Quote, combined with classical algorithms, crowd computing techniques can be successfully used to help improving the accuracy of multiple sequence alignment, McGill University researchers wrote in a 2012 paper on Philo. Our results show that solutions submitted contributed to improving the accuracy of up to 70% of the alignment blocks considered. This suggests that citizen science approaches can be used to exploit the billions of human brain petaflops of computation that are spent every day playing games. So if you want to dive in, you can check out the Borderlands Science mini-game that is found within the world of Borderlands 3, and I believe that it's found in a what do you call it? A arcade machine, as you can see here within the game. So the terminal is your entry point to helping biomedical research through gaming. You find this in Borderlands 3, and there you have it. There is a screenshot of the game and what you can kind of do to help the process. And I think it's pretty cool. In a way, it's like folding at home, where you can put a PC to work that is idle and allow it to do good. If you just want to play a simple game, booting up Borderlands and diving into this and just mindlessly chunking through this while you watch Netflix or whatever you might be doing could be a great way to put some good back into the world, even if it is just trying to figure out how to improve the science for these teams. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about the stuff we talked about today. Will you give Stadia a shot? That's really the idea I want to drive home, the question I want to ask. Are you going to be diving in and seeing what it's all about? Would love to see you in the comment section down below, or you can always hit me up on Twitter at PrettyChillGuy. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.